I'm going to show you how to have a great transition and how to start your downswing so you can have that silky smooth effortless transition and downswing just like the Tour Pros. But not only this, I'm going to bring in some sports box biomechanics so you can actually see physically with your own eyes and see the data to prove that what I'm saying is in fact right. We're going to be answering 3 key questions. Number 1, when do we have that change of direction back towards the target? Number 2, what part of the foot are we pushing into as we start the downswing? And number 3, what should the upper body be doing? So let's jump into the change of direction. Firstly, what is change of direction? Well, in the golf swing, at some point we have to go from going away from the target to back towards the target. That has to happen, and it happens in every single golf swing. So no matter if you are more of a stack and tilt, where you are trying to stay more on the left side, you will naturally have a little bit of shift off. At the end of the day, the golf club is going to be pulling you slightly off the ball, no matter what method you do. So at some point, you then have to start to shift and move your momentum back towards the target. So it doesn't matter if you're stack and tilt, or if you're that player that likes to have a push off, a recenter, and a shift, you have to have a change of direction going from away from the target back towards the target. Let's now take a look at some Sportsbox AI biomechanics data. So here is this Sportsbox 3D Golf app, and again, we're using this to see when does the weight transfer start to go back towards the target? When do we have that change of direction? Now, the number that's going to help us is what we call pelvis sway. Pelvis sway is measuring the lateral motion of the pelvis, and it uses the center point of your stance as sort of the 0.0 line. Now, it's measured in inches, and as you can see right here, my pelvis is right in the middle of my feet, and it reads 0.0. Now, as I shift back, and if I move more away from the target than that center line, you can see it goes into the minus. Then as I shift back towards the target, it will count back down towards the 0 line, and then once I go past that 0 line, it's going to go positive like you can see right here. So aka we're looking at when does the change of direction actually happen. Now, for most amateurs, and again, this is my best impression of most amateurs, it happens way too late. So you can see up here, minus 1.8 is where the pelvis is, and my left arm is right at the top of my backswing, start of my downswing. So this is highlighting that everything leading to this point was away. Yes, there is a slight little glitch there, and then everything after this point is towards. So the change of direction point is happening right at the start of the downswing. And this is just far too late. So if we don't want it to happen here, where do we want it to happen? Well, a great example of when we want it to happen is using Collin Morikawa. So let's do the same thing with him. Again, focusing on that pelvis sway number. We can see his pelvis is furthest away from the target here at minus 0.8. And that's actually when his left arm is before parallel. Now from here, you can see as I take him back, he's going to recenter. So he's going to be bang in the middle of his feet just after left arm parallel. And by the time he gets to the top of his backswing, he is actually more on his left side. So he's 1 inch closer to the target relative to the middle line. Now I was, in my best impression of an amateur, minus 1.8. So you can see there is a huge difference with Collin versus my impression of an amateur. So essentially, what can we take away from this? The change of direction where we start to shift back towards the target has to happen a lot earlier. In fact, it happens roughly around left arm parallel. Again, some players will be like Collin slightly before, some players will be on it, some players will be after it. But in essence, we need to start to shift back towards the target during the backswing and not at the end of the backswing, start at the downswing. So as you can see, the change in direction happens at 2 very different points for a professional golfer versus an amateur golfer. Now, we can sort of summarize this to amateurs tend to change direction at the top of the backswing versus professionals do it somewhere during the backswing. Now, it varies from professional to professional. Some like to change a little bit earlier and others like to change a little bit later. But the key is that we understand that actually we are trying to shift back towards the target before we finish the backswing. And if you think about it, that's sort of how we get this nice rhythm between the feet. You know, you get that nice flow right there. And again, it doesn't matter if you're a stack and tilt or if you're a centered pivot or if you're somebody that likes to shift off, there has to be that change of direction at some point, and it has to happen during the backswing, not at the end of the backswing. Now, there is a key concept. It is force precedes motion. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to get all physicsy on you. Essentially, what that means is in order to move, you have to apply a force first. So this then means that, okay, let's say we're trying to have that recenter and shift back towards the target before we finish the backswing. Let's say we want that to happen just after left arm parallel. So somewhere around here is when we want to start to see the pelvis shift back. Let's use that as our guide. If we want if we want it to happen here, we actually need to feel like we start to push into that lead foot somewhere around here. So the force is applied here in terms of pushing into the left foot, but as we then get to the top, the motion then kicks in. So you have to apply a force first for then the motion to happen. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, drop it down in a comment. I'll answer all of your comments, I always do. But essentially what we're trying to say is you have to feel that shift before you actually move. If you try and shift from the top, it's just going to be way too late, and ultimately you're leaving yourself way too much work to do in the downswing. And frankly, if that data's shown you anything, it's that tour pros are just giving themselves way more time to shift back towards the target, which is going to mean that it's going to be easier for them to time everything up. Their sequencing is going to be a lot better, and ultimately they can get this really nice, effortless, smooth downswing and transition look that we all crave and need in our swing. So now we understand the concept that the change of direction is happening during the backswing and not happening at the top of the backswing. Now I need to give you a drill that's going to help you learn this motion as fast as possible. So the drill that we're going to do is the step drill. Now when we do the step drill, I know it's a very, very popular drill out there, but I want you to really understand why we're doing it. The actual stepping motion is a great way of physically over exaggerating that shift back to the lead side, so that change of direction. Now, how do we perform this drill? Well, what we're going to do is set up to the golf ball normally. Then from there, bring your lead foot so it's level with the ball. As we swing back, I want you to feel like you start the process of stepping around belly button high. If I start to swing back, I want to see that the change of direction is roughly, it's going to feel like it happens around belly button high, but actually it's going to happen around shoulder high. I step and I swing through. That's going to show us what it feels like to have this early step. Now, don't get me wrong, this is going to feel very, very strange. Just like, what is it, patting your head and rubbing your belly. It's going to feel like that to start with. It's going to feel very, very strange. But it's a great way of over-exaggerating the feeling. Now, just note, when we do step, we're not having a massive step. We're just replacing the foot to where it was originally. So let me show you what this drill looks like right here. So if I set up to the golf ball, I'm just going to bring that foot in slightly there, and I'm going to feel like I step roughly around when my hands get roughly to belly button high. So let's now answer the second question, which is what part of the foot are we actually pushing into to generate this weight shift? And I see a lot of people overthink this. So let's keep it as simple as possible. When we're doing that step drill, so when we're swinging back and stepping, what is the part of the foot that lands first? So what you'll notice is it's not going to be the heel. You wouldn't step and do that. It's not going to be the toe. It will be the ball of the foot. So on the diagram next to me, I'm going to show you what the ball of the foot looks like, just so again, you can have that direct reference guide. So we are really trying to feel like it is the ball of the foot. A fantastic analogy is, imagine I've got a tennis ball and I've cut that tennis ball in half and I've put it on the ground so it sort of looks like a fried egg in a sense. Put your foot, so roughly where the ball of your left foot is, pop that on the tennis ball, and as you go and start that shift, you want to feel like you can push that tennis ball flat. You can see as I do that, I've pushed into the ball of the left foot. So not the heel, not the toes, the ball of the left foot, and then kind of into that big toe there. Now, once you do that, you're then going to be in a great position to then push from the toes back into the heel to then give you that great rotation as well. So that's a little bit of a sneak preview of a video that's going to come out later. So now that we've done that, here is a great little way of feeling it. Just get that sensation there. You can even just let that foot just step ever so slightly as you do this and get used to that feeling of pushing into the ball of the left foot. Let me give it a go for you right here. Here's what this should look like. So let's now answer the final question, which is how should the upper body be working during this movement? Well, really, it should just be along for the ride. I see so many golfers get in trouble, and this also then compromises how you shift back towards the target and your change of direction. But I see so many golfers get to the top and they try and muscle it. So you'll see this right shoulder go high. What we want to be happening is the upper body is just staying passive as we're having this great lower body movement. This is going to allow you to start to get the club shallowing out. So how do we do this? Grab the club with your lead arm only, place your trail hand behind your back, just make some swings. Again, focus on that good leg work and just feel what it feels like to keep that chest nice and passive. This is why you'll hear golfers say, oh, I feel like I have my back pointing towards the target for as long as possible. I feel like there's a pause. Those sort of things aren't necessarily happening. It's more that the upper body is just staying passive as the lower body is doing its change of direction and as it's pushing into the left foot. So that's the real reason as to why players will say that. But again, you're just focusing on the lower body, allow the upper body to stay passive. Left arm only drills are a fantastic way of feeling that. So now that we've done that, let me give this a go for you. Let me hit a shot. Again, I'm just trying to feel that chest and that upper body stay passive and the lower body is doing all the work here. So change of direction happens before I finish the backswing and I'm pushing into the ball of the left foot. Let me give it a go for you right here. So there you have it. That is how we start the downswing. It doesn't actually start from the top of the backswing. And if you actually understand that concept, you are going to be well on your way to having that effortless transition and downswing that we all want. If you've enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you back here soon.